Hey guys, it's Region 4 Outreach and Communications Coordinator Matt Cameron, and today I am in Greene County at Lick Creek Bottoms, WMA, and I've got Area Manager David Sams with me. We're going to talk about bees, beekeeping, and pollinating, and why bees are so important to nature as pollinators. You know, something you may not give a whole lot of thought to, but in wildlife management, pollination is of utmost importance on getting these crops to grow and to flourish. So Dave's going to talk about all that, and I'm tickled to be here. So I see you brought some props with you, David. Let's start Beekeeping 101. I know very, very little about beekeeping other than honey tastes pretty dang good, and thank God for you people who harvest it.
The big thing to remember is honeybees aren't the only pollinators we have. There's a lot of native pollinators. In North America, you know, roughly 3,500 to 4,000 different bees and pollinators. You're talking butterflies and bees combined, and some moths and things like that.
Birds
are pollinators, bats are pollinators. Okay. So you've got all kinds of different pollinators. It takes a lot of honeybees to pollinate just small amounts of areas. You know, a lot of times these farmers that are doing vegetables, they'll have, you know, 2 to 3 colonies of honeybees come in per acre. You know, sometimes it may take more than that. And you're talking a good colony of honeybees will be 40 to 60,000 bees in that colony.
And there's to be 2 or 3 colonies per acre.
Per acre.
We're talking hundreds of thousands of bees.
Hundreds of thousands of bees to pollinate a squash, you know, soybeans, things like that.
So if we like to eat, and we do, then you need to thank a honeybee or another pollinator.
Exactly. They say that, you know, whenever you sit down to your table at night, usually out of, you know, 5 spoonfuls or forkfuls of food that you take, you can thank a pollinator for probably 3 of those. Albert Einstein probably said it best, if our honeybees or pollinators disappeared from the globe within about 4 years, we would probably have a hard time existing, if not even making it at that point. It takes 12 bees to make a teaspoon of honey in their entire life.
So their whole life, that's all they'll make?
That's all they'll make. It takes 12 to make a teaspoon.
Oh, okay.
And so then the other thing is, to make a pound of honey, you're looking at, it takes 2 million visits to wildflowers of some sort to make a pound of honey. And to put a pound of honey in perspective, a quart jar is 3 pounds.
Okay.
So you're talking 6 million flowers visited to make that quart of honey.
1 quart.
1 quart.
Good grief.
And so then the miles traveled to make 1 pound of honey is 55,000 miles, which is 1 trip around the world.
You think they need an oil change?
Oh my goodness.
Somewhere?
So, you know, and most of the time your honeybee's gonna live, you know, 5 to, maybe they might pull out 7 weeks. Pretty much their wings are worn out, they're torn, they're tattered, they're gonna go out on another flight and they probably won't make it back.
So they can't pull into the bee shop and get rebuilt?
No.
Wings or engines?
It's over when it's over.
So let's say you want to get started. I mean, square one, you ain't got anything to get you going in the beekeeping world. Where do you start?
First thing to do, educate yourself. That's the best route to go. Education is always a good thing, whether you're reading books. There's several journals out there. You can subscribe to several magazines. You can watch YouTube videos. Again, YouTube, you know, it's one of those things. Some things are good, some things are bad. Honeybees aren't cheap. You're looking at, this would be a package box, and you'll spend anywhere between $100 to $150 for 3 pounds of honeybees. They shake the bees down in here, and then they'll give you a cage with a queen in it with workers in there, and then they'll have a can of syrup in there and cover it up, and then you have to install this into your package. The second option is a nucleus colony, which will come in something like this, and it's got 5 frames already in there. It's got pollen, nectar, your honey, all that kind of stuff. It's got brood that's already there. The queen's laying. She knows everybody in the group. It's just a small colony to get you going. It's the easiest. I would recommend that. It's going to be a little bit more pricey than the package fees.
What are we talking here?
This one here, you'll start at probably $140, and you can go up to $220, probably, something like that. Okay. So you're talking 100 to 140, 140 to 220. This is what we call a deep super. You can go any route you want to. Whenever you get started, pick what you want to do. These are 10 frames, which means I have 10 frames that will line up across all of them.
Do they go this way or this way?
They go this way.
Side by side. Okay.
So they'll go in here. We'll get to see all this in the beehives. But that's one of the first things you'll want to do. Decide what you want to do on the equipment that you want to run. They've got horizontal hives. They've got these Langstroth hives. I prefer Langstroth hives. It's a whole lot easier to deal with. 10 frame, they make them in 8 frame. This box, when it's completely full, and if it's got honey in it, you're talking 90 pounds.
Like a bag of quick.
So you stop and think, 90 pounds on fingertips. You know, it gets old after a little while. So this is a medium super.
Yep.
This is about 60 pounds.
Okay.
So even if you went to an 8 frame, you're going to knock off, you know, probably another 10 pounds, something like that. So
a little more managed.
Yeah. So, you know, if you're not able to lift a whole lot of weight and everything, you can use this as your bottom if you wanted to do that. Either a bottom deep, or you're going to have to run 3 mediums. They actually make a third option, which is a shallow that's a little bit smaller. And you're probably, instead of 60 pounds, probably going to weigh probably around 54 or 55 pounds, something like that.
Pretty good load.
It is, it is. Another option that I do know several people are doing, this is a nucleus box, and this is the same thing as what you bought over here. So you could do this, it'll be 5 frames, so then you can decide whether you want to, you know, you've got half the weight, so that would be 45 pounds completely full versus the 90 pounds. And then you can just stack more of those up on top. As narrow as it is, the stability may not be there. So you definitely, you know,
don't get too tall.
Yeah, you know, and it depends on what your goals are as a beekeeper. Do you want to get them for pollinating or just enjoying them, or do you want to produce honey? What's your goal? Figure out what you want to do, and then just kind of plan accordingly.
Gotcha.
The other thing I would tell a beginning beekeeper is, with your education, join a local bee club. You know, it's definitely one of those things. They've got mentors at the clubs. You know, you know, a lot of times they'll do drawings in the spring of the year for new beekeepers. You may have to provide the bees. You might end up winning equipment on some of these drawings. And I tell folks, when you get going, start with 2 colonies. You don't want to go crazy with 20 colonies or 10 colonies. I like to recommend starting with two different colonies. You've got them right there.
So I've got so much information I'm trying to process from our short conversation here, but I do want to go see an active apiary and just let you show us how you operate this thing.
Okay, sounds great. We'll do it.
About to blast this space shuttle off, man.
Yeah, that's for sure. To infinity and beyond. Greetings, Earthlings.
Yeah, you remember Back to the Future when Marty crashed the DeLorean into the barn? Come out with that suit on. That's what I feel like right now. So there's no old man with a shotgun when we get down here. Could be some angry bees though.
Okay, we're looking at an apiary location. Depending on how you want to set up, you know, I don't like to usually try and have them 3 or 4 feet apart. Facing kind of easterly or southeasterly in the morning. Another good thing is you've got a fence, you've got vegetation growing on it, so when the bees come out, whenever they come up and go out, they're going wherever they need to collect nectar and pollen. So if there's a pond or water source nearby other than your neighbor's pool. Other than that, you can see there's different stages of colonies that I have here. Some have more supers, some have fewer supers. We're gonna try and get in a couple of hives here and kind of let you see what it looks like inside some of them. We'll grab our hive tools and our smoker. I don't smoke a whole lot unless the bees are really defensive. Most of the time I'll get into a hive without smoke, but I've got the option there if I need it. Pine needles are a good option that a lot of folks use. The other thing is, I've got a buddy, he'll get his old blue jeans or cotton clothes and wad them up and light them and use them. A lot of times it's best to put a few weights on top of your lids. Sometimes we get a wind event, you can blow your lids off. Multiple different hive tools. You've got, this is what I grew up using. My dad had these more than anything. I like these. These are handy as well. So a couple different, this one's called a J-hook. You'll see why a J-hook comes in handy. And a lot of times if you're gonna do a little smoking, make sure your smoker's going. Give them just a little bit in the front of the entrance. And then whenever you open up, you can see, we'll give them just a little bit. And then the bees will actually glue things together really tight, and it's called propolis, and they'll go out and collect sap and things like that. So you can see a little bit of activity. We talked about hive beetles, the small hive beetles. You see the little black guys running around, those are hive beetles. We don't like them. You can see now how we're talking about the frames, where I was talking about this is a 10 frame box. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can get it in 8 frames to where it will be a little bit narrower if you don't think you can pick up near as much. So go over to my J-hook frame. You can see it'll allow you to come in. You can just kind of put it right up on. And you always want to start at one side or the other. And you can see the glue between the frames. You'll kind of break it loose a little bit. Start at one end and then hold on to it. And keep in mind, you want to go slow. You don't want to go fast. Here's a drone. If you see how big he is, there's a bunch of drones on this piece of the bigger bees. Those are the drones with the big eyes. So those are your drones. The smaller bees are your females, which are workers. The drones are the males. Again, they like to lay around and eat honey and then go out and do a mating flight, which they'll die after their mating flight. So this frame is primarily honey. You can see the capped honey has got the moisture content just perfect. The uncapped is not there yet. They'll get in here and they'll fan this out and they'll make it to where it is capped like that side. So they're in the process of working their way and getting it. Once it's capped, it's good for us. You can blend in some of the uncapped honey, but if you do too much, it will ferment and get really funky. So you don't want to put a whole lot of uncapped honey in your honey that you're going to be consuming. They've got everything done near the top. They're just working at the bottom to finish off with honey and around the sides a little bit.
They'll work from the top down.
Yep, they'll work from the top down, and so there's the other side. So that's some pretty good liquid gold right there. So if there's a good nectar flow going on, this super could be full in about 3 to 5 days. You're looking at the bottom of the frame. They've got a little bird comb which helps them come up from the hive below. If they get too many bees in here and they get congested, they will swarm. So they'll end up having a queen cell. It gets made out, and the queen cell looks like a peanut sitting on the side of the frame. And whenever they make the queen cell or queen cup, the queen will actually lay an egg in there, and they actually feed that queen cell a lot of royal jelly. You know, you hear royal jelly supplements, things like that. That's what they do. They feed the queen royal jelly. And your worker bees, it takes them 21 days to develop into a worker bee. It takes the queen 16 days, and she's bigger. Remember I told you the supers weigh about 60 pounds, and that's what you got right there, about 60 pounds of honey right
Boy, that really got them stirred up.
So you can, yeah, it doesn't make them happy. Give them just a little drink. You can see they're coming towards your face.
Oh yeah.
Is what they're looking for. They like your GoPro because it's black. Anything that's black, keep in mind they do not like anything. Skunks are black, bears are black, predators. That's the kind of stuff. That's why we're in white. Any lighter colors that you can get in. So keep that in mind. Other thing, keep in mind, they do not like alcohol. If you're a drinker, wait to drink after you get out of your honeybees. You can see on this frame, you've got some drones mixed in, a lot of workers, honey up around the top. You can see they're putting, it looks kind of orangey in there. That's your pollen. Pollen, bee bread. To put it in perspective, your honey's your carbohydrates for the bees. The pollen is their steak. So that's their protein. That's what they're looking for.
Okay.
If they're trying to raise babies and stuff, the protein is the main factor. They've got to have the pollen to get going. You can see they've stored tons of pollen on this side here.
And that's their steak.
Yep, that's their steak. And you notice the difference in the color in the comb. This comb's kind of brown, even getting darker in some places. That's where they raise babies. And I think, I was trying to remember, I think it's around 2,000 that she can lay on one side of the frame here.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of youngins. And if you're lucky, and we get lucky, we may be able to find the queen. This is usually one of those frames where we might get lucky to find her. You just never know. A lot of times they'll pile over the top of her when you pull it out.
Are they protecting her?
A lot of times they are. There she is. See the queen?
Yes. So you spotted her right off the bat.
Yeah, you can see how much bigger she is than the workers. So we'll catch her. Alright, so we've got her caught. I'll give her a little blue mark on her back right there, just to make it a little easier to find her in the near future. And she should come right on out, unless she's camera shy. Come on, girl. There she is. So now you can see she's got the pretty blue dot on her. You can see her really good. So
Really stands out now.
oh yeah. Whenever you get 60,000 bees in one of these colonies and you're trying to find a queen, the dot makes things a whole lot nicer trying to find hers.
Well, David, I can't thank you enough for bringing us out and showing us all about bees, and there is far more to this than I had ever imagined. I thought, you get you some of these boxes and, you might go get a few bees or just put them out and bees show up and they do the rest, but there's a lot of knowledge that you have to have in order to keep a good, healthy, working colony. And you need a good bee suit. And when we first got into this, I'll be honest with you, I was pretty frightened when he first pulled that first lid off and those bees came directly for the GoPro in that camera. I thought, I'm going to get stung. There's no way this little thin suit's going to keep me from getting stung. But so far, half hour we've been out here, I haven't got stung.
Excellent.
So got to have a good bee suit, got to have a little bit of bravery, you got to have a lot of knowledge, and find somebody, like you said, I can't stress enough to have a mentor. I feel like if I wanted to get into this, David, if he would be willing, would be my mentor to keep me going. We've got you covered. Brother, this has been fantastic. I hope to do another segment maybe on how you process this stuff. We really didn't even touch on that, just barely. How you actually get the goods to take home and eat and what that involves.
Well, maybe they got hooked like I did, so hey.
All right, y'all, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Drop the Tailgate, and tune in next time for some more Tennessee great outdoor adventures. Goodbye.